Hello and welcome to Sectors Up Close. I'm Ramzan Karamali. Today we're focusing on the US industrial sector, and my guest is John Stoltzfus, Chief Investment Strategist at Oppenheimer Asset Management. The industrial sector has been battling numerous challenges, ranging from rising inflation to persisting supply chain disruptions. But despite this, the S&P 500 industrial sector has outperformed the general market. It gained over 12% compared to the main S&P 500's 5.6% increase over the past 6 months. Much of that has to do with big rises in aerospace and defence stocks. And there's cause for more optimism for the sector. Due to a lack of investment over the years and those recent disruptions to supply chains caused by the pandemic, there's now a renewed effort by both US companies and the federal government to strengthen domestic manufacturing. 3 pieces of legislation have been passed aimed at boosting economic competitiveness, innovation and industrial productivity. This means there'll be $2 trillion in new federal spending over the next decade. The government's also increasing investment in infrastructure, including transportation and broadband networks, all of which should help support the growth of the industries. Well, to see if the future of the industrial sector is as rosy as it seems, I'm joined by John Stoltzfus, Chief Investment Strategist at Oppenheimer Asset Management. John, thanks so much for joining us. This sector seems to be outperforming the rest of the market. Is it just down to the fact that there's a war in Ukraine?
We think not just the war in Ukraine, though the war in Ukraine certainly draws attention to the defense sector aspect of the industrial sector. But it's also a story that is both cyclical as well as secular in nature and changes, whether it has to do with energy and power generation, commercial aerospace, or the home appliances, or all types of industrial equipment, including robotics and a variety of items that are really making business more efficient at delivering its services and products to its customers.
And with all the recent turmoil in the financial sector, are industrials a good defensive play?
We can't help but think that they are. We would think as a good diversifier for investors. We don't think that the confidence crisis that we've seen in the banking space will be systemic, but rather it will be maintained on a fairly idiosyncratic level. And as a result of that, we think that this sector should really be looked at as investors as an area as a core holding. It requires some patience because I think a lot of it, amazingly so, a lot of investors don't really consider the fact that it is so involved in technology, whether it's robotics, whether it's the Internet of Things, to make industrial equipment more efficient, to build solutions for both consumers and business. It's a key space.
So on the face of it, industrial stocks look like the place to be, but with a recession possibly on the horizon, will you still be that bullish about them?
We probably would be. We tend to be investors on the intermediate to longer term goals and objectives. So if we were to see a recession, we would expect, first of all, that in terms of aerospace and defense, we would have to think that would, because of the uncertainty in the world, that segment in particular, the defense area, would be a good place to be invested. We don't think governments are going to say, well, we have a recession, so we're not going to invest against incursion aspects and problems related to protecting our borders and what have you. But we also do think that the secular trends are so deep and so long that we want to hold this. And if we saw a pullback in prices, we'd look at it as an opportunity for dollar cost averaging.
And you mentioned defence there. Are there any other favourites within the sector that you're particularly fond of?
Yes, most certainly. We think in terms of energy is one of the areas that the industrial sector serves. And within that space, it's both traditional fossil fuel generated energy plants and equipment, as well as alternative energy, whether it's wind farms or solar panels. This is where you find the equipment, the sensors, the devices that connect to the Internet of Things and to grids. It's manufactured in the industrial space. It's the combination of technology and industrial equipment, and that's a particular area. We're big fans of this sector.
John Stoltzfus from Oppenheimer Asset Management, many thanks for your time. And that is your roundup of the US industrial sector. I'm Ramzan Karmali, and this is Reuters.